Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. Tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about Deep Purple, or at least a mark of Deep Purple. And of course, we're talking about Deep Purple Mark III as well as Mark IV, because tonight we're going to talk about David Coverdale as well as Glenn Hughes. All right, so it wasn't long ago that Glenn Hughes was interviewed, and in that interview, he said that him and David Coverdale have been talking about doing a team-up, a tour, for the last decade. Now, I don't know about you folks, but that's one concert I think I'd pay to see. Both artists were members of Deep Purple during the Mark III and Mark IV incarnation of that band. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the most creative times during Deep Purple. These two guys arrived in Deep Purple right after the celebrated Machine Head by the Mark II lineup. That lineup, of course, consisted of Ian Gillan on lead vocals, Ian Pace on drums, Roger Glover on bass, John Lord on keyboards, and one of the greatest guitarists in rock and roll, Ritchie Blackmore. But with the departure of Gillan and Glover, they brought on David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes. Now, Glenn Hughes didn't consider himself primarily a bass player. He considered himself a great singer, and they utilized him as such. Now, just to clarify, they brought him on as an occasional vocalist with David Coverdale there in the band. That only shows you how truly a great singer this guy really is. And when I found out for the past decade that these two have been talking on and off about possibly touring, I was flabbergasted, folks. I wondered, why in the hell hasn't this occurred before? Now, you guys know what I think of David Coverdale, however you pronounce his damn name. I think he's one of rock's truly great singers. And what he did with both Jimmy Page on the Coverdale Page album and Deep Purple alone made me a fan of the man. But recently, he's been quoted as saying that he actually has some backup singers in the background to enhance his voice. Here we go again. Now, you guys know what I think about so-called vocal enhancements. There are three areas that I just won't tolerate at any concert I go to. Of course, lip syncing, that's it. I'm not there, all right? And AI-assisted singing, yeah, Paul Stanley, we know who you are, is another area that I will not traverse in order to see them live. And of course, I've criticized David Coverdale for having background singers off stage to enhance his ever weakening voice. But with Glenn Hughes saying that if David Coverdale called him right now, he'd make room for him, but he won't wait forever. Now, why is that so exciting? Well, here we could see David Coverdale cover what he can, and Glenn Hughes, who has maintained his vocal chops for the most part, could then cover the area that Coverdale can't handle. This is both upfront and honest, and I would love to see these two again on stage. Now, they also asked him, would he be willing to play with other members of Deep Purple, and he said that he really hasn't got any time for that at all, and he gave two reasons. The number one reason was that both him and David weren't treated well by the band during their tenure. And of course, the second reason was what happened at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and how him and again David were treated during the whole process. Now, every band has to have a hero, don't they? With Motley Crap, we've got Mick Mars, right? At least the man has integrity. The rest of them I wouldn't give you a plum nickel for. And for me, in Deep Purple, it's always been Glenn Hughes who is the hero. All other members have either let themselves be run aground or had their ego go unchecked for far too long, or in the case of Glover, Pace, and even the mighty John Lord, choosing sides and causing trouble in the background. But Glenn Hughes has never looked back, people. When he was done with Deep Purple, he continued to put out output and to tour, as he is doing right up until today. Now, this is what I consider a true rock and roller. And his solution for David Coverdale, although that's not what he's supplying here, all right, he has made no aspirations against David's voice or anything like that. But the rest of us know that there are diminishing returns every time we hear this guy live. But here's my point, and here's my question to the tribe. Why couldn't these guys get together one more time with Ritchie Blackmore? If it was a limited tour, Ian Pace has been known to go with the majority, right? We might even be able to get him up there. And guess what? They wouldn't have to tour as Deep Purple. Here's the name they should choose for that tour. They should call themselves Mach 3. The name implies the obvious. Fans of Deep Purple would go, and yet the name of the band being Mach 3 would be much more honest. I'd pay more than my usual miserly limit on tickets to see that lineup. I swear to God I would. But what do you guys think? Would this be a concert? And guess what, folks? It would be a concert that wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. Well, unless Ritchie Blackmore shows up, but I might pay an extra $1 or $2 for Ritchie. But what about you guys? What do you think of that idea of former members of Deep Purple, key former members, touring as just what they were, Mach 3, and named such? All right, folks, I want to hear from you. I want to know if this is a concert that you would attend. All right, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps channel growth. If you haven't subscribed, just hit that subscribe to the tribe button, tap that top bell icon, and you are in. You'll be notified of all my future videos, all right? I'm Michael Noland, and together, folks, we are the tribe, and I'll see you in my next video.